Politics in a major shakeup for Michigan's Democratic Senate primary. State Senator Mallory McMorrow has announced that she's dropping out of the race.
Today, I'm announcing that I am suspending my campaign for United States Senate. And I'm doing it with a deep, deep sense of gratitude for our thousands of volunteers, for everyone who donated what you could, building a campaign with zero corporate PAC dollars, for my staff who built this team up from nothing. I thank you.
This leaves Congresswoman Haley Stevens and progressive candidate Dr. Abdul El-Sayed as the two Democratic hopefuls fighting to replace outgoing Senator Gary Peters. It's expected to be a very competitive August primary in a race that could play a key role in determining control of the Senate. The winner will face former Republican Congressman Mike Rogers in November, and we should note Congresswoman Haley Stevens will join us as a guest a little later this morning on Morning Joe. Allie, let's get your take on this. The state senator McMorrow, seen as a real rising star a couple of years ago, got a lot of attention for some of the speeches she delivered. Remarkable, real charisma, remarkable life story, and the like. She, I think, in many people's eyes, was the favorite in this race a handful of months ago. What's your sense as to what went wrong?
Things started to shift. And I mean, look, we're talking about this race in the landscape of Democrats trying to figure out, is the best way to win in these purplish seats to pull from the base and excite more people who might be Democrats but are not excited by the kind of establishment candidates that they're seeing? That's sort of the Abdul El-Sayed ethos of coming into this race and campaigning as an ultra progressive. We heard from him at the end of the week on this very program, you and I. And then also you've got someone like Congresswoman Haley Stevens that tests the more establishment lane of, can I reach across the aisle? Can I take some disillusioned conservatives who might not be on board with Trump or MAGA-aligned candidates, and can I bring them into the fold to ultimately flip this seat? That's sort of the Haley Stevens equation, especially as she's someone who is endorsed by the so-called establishment. She's Schumer's pick in this race. She's got the endorsement of former Michigan Senator Debbie Stabenow. And so all of that is important when you think about the lane that McMorrow had left to run in, I think had just sort of run its course. She's someone who brought sort of the progressive sensibilities from that side of the aisle, while also being someone who is electable, who had a swingy state Senate seat, who was part of the Michigan legislature that had flipped several years ago, was part of describing how Democrats could do better in Michigan during that time, was endorsed by someone like Senator Elizabeth Warren. And so I think it just sort of became, according to the sources that I'm talking to, a sense of seeing the writing on the wall, watching the fact that the polling had sort of made this a two-person race, and the fact that there is a big debate coming up this week in this Michigan Senate primary. McMorrow notably not endorsing on her way out the door, just sort of saying, hey, we got to coalesce behind whatever Democrat wins this ahead of November. But if we look ahead to the general, I have heard some real concern from Democrats broadly in Michigan on the national stage that this is going to be a highly competitive race. I know it's listed as a toss-up, but it is one that Democrats will have to hold on to. Gary Peters, of course, currently holds this seat, Democratic senator from Michigan. It's one they'll have to hold on to if they want to have even a shot of flipping the Senate. And I think there is some real concern about that. So we'll see who ultimately comes out of this primary. But notable now that it's a 1-to-1 contest and not a three-way split.
You know, the word Allie just mentioned, Elise, there, electable. It makes me think of the interview we did on Friday here on this show with Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, who was sharp and ready and echoing so many of the talking points that we've seen work, certainly here in New York City under Mayor Zohran Mamdani, but he's talking about affordability as a path to electability. He's talking about artificial intelligence, billionaires, Silicon Valley. And also he was posting a video of himself doing karaoke to Taylor Swift over the weekend, celebrating Independence Day, speaking to what does it look like to be maybe a progressive candidate in a Senate race. And so your temperature check on that wing of the Democratic Party would be what at this point?
Well, I think that Dr. El-Sayed is very impressive as a candidate, and he is sharp. He has an element of the charisma that a candidate who's going to have views that are more outside of the mainstream of the Democratic establishment to get past, to be passable. But Republican strategists see this as a race that they're salivating over, because then this becomes the Texas disaster that they have with Ken Paxton. They think that they will be able to nationalize the more progressive stances that El-Sayed holds in order to win in Michigan, and also taint the entire broader Democratic brand with the ideas of democratic socialists.
We'll be watching.